So good morning, SRC family. I am Manala D and your host. And today is a very special day as we are here to celebrate our brother and friend, Dr. Griffo. We're not going to tarry in this celebration, but we want you to know that it was truly an honor to have Dr. Griffo with us in his physical mass as we unpack the Bible. Now, today, we are going to honor Dr. Griffo as one of our ancestors. Dr. Griffo, while on this earth, was a master communicator and multi-dimensional teacher and mentor. His journey has led him into a worldwide speaking platform that has astonished crowds. There are so many accolades earned by Dr. Griffo, but what I would rather hear today, I would rather you hear from his brothers and sisters. We're going to begin with Brother Lavelle Rosser, but later in this broadcast, we would like for you, our audience, to also briefly comment on our brother, Dr. Griffo. So with that, Brother Lavelle.
Yes, and good morning, everyone. And I welcome everyone with joy and happiness for their heart as we speak about Dr. Kedar Griffo lovingly and with the most kindness that we can offer still to his spirit and also to his family and friends. I first met Dr. Griffo probably about 7 years ago at a bookstore in Atlanta, and we conversed on a few things. And I realized very early that he was quite a knowledgeable person. And as we continued to meet several times at the bookstore, we developed more of a friendship and more of an exchange of information, of knowledge, and also even critiquing each other just a little bit. But the critique of each other was always to bring out the better or the best in us. So I finally laugh at that because there were times that he had me on the edge, and I was like, man, I got to sharpen my skills if I'm going to continue to talk with this person here. So, and then he encouraged me to start doing some lectures at Medu Bookstore in Atlanta, and that's his doing that really brought a whole lot out of me, and I appreciate that with him. And then, little known to me, he started to share a lot of what I was sharing with a lot of other people, and I sort of felt like Dr. Griffo was saying, "Yeah, don't tell him I sent you. Just go ahead and inquire of him." But now, in talking with a few people in retrospect, they told me that, yeah, he was the one that put me in contact with you. So, I'm delighted of that, but at the time I just didn't know. So he has a place, in my heart. He definitely has a place in my thoughts, and he will always be remembered. I know, it appears to have been a short period that we knew each other, but so much was accomplished, so much was gained, and he offered so much inspiration to me that I have to really recognize that at his fullest and at his greatest height. So he's truly my brother. He's truly my brother, and I love him, and I love him, from afar, and in the next world or the next realm, in the spiritual world. So Dr. Griffo, Kedar, and his mother, Miss Loudermick, I'd like to thank her for sharing your son with us for all these years. Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you, Brother Lovell, for that. We truly thank his family. Thank his family. Thank all the friends that are on with us today for um, sharing Dr. Griffo with us, being here with SRC as we listen and learn from the man, Dr. Kedar Griffo. What I like to do right now is I'm going to show you a brief video. We have 3 videos that we're going to show today, and they're very brief. This is the first video that Dr. Griffo joined us on the SRC stage. And he was so good. I was like, God, I was like, I want him to come back. I want him to be a part of the panel, and I wasn't sure how to ask him. But let me tell you something. I asked him, I said, would you mind being a part of the panel? He didn't even hesitate. He said, I would love to. When I first met him, this is what Dr. Griffo loved doing. He loved teaching. He loved giving the information, the knowledge that he has, and he has never stopped doing that. I think the only broadcast that he ever missed during when he started with us is when he became ill. That's the only time he ever missed. It was always on time. I'll forever hold him in my heart. But I want you to look at this short video of the first time Dr. Griffo was on our show. So just a second, and I am going to play that for you.
Now, today we are honored to welcome our first guest contributor, Dr. Kedar Griffo. Good to see you, Doctor.
Good morning. Yes, you guys can hear me okay, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Yes, if you look at the Bible, starting with the book of Genesis, in my research, it deals with the initial creation being from the feminine perspective, and then they created a man. And the fact that women had the ability, or females had the ability to create without a man. And it was the woman whose womb was the portal that merged the spiritual world with the physical world, because it's through her that we emerged onto this particular planet.
If you got anything else before we move on?
No,
Okay.
I don't know. I'll hold on.
We want you to
share. I got another
Yeah,
question for you right now.
Griff,
Oh, go ahead. We go with the next question.
Okay.
In my understanding, it is. If you go back to Genesis, where it speaks of in the beginning was the light, and that word in Hebrew is the word or, and that means not only the sun, but it also means intellect. So in the beginning was the intellect first, and then later it created the sun, the moon, the stars, where they could be able to tell the time and to tell, create a calendar. But initially it was the intellect. So then the way that they wrote these things was to speak to those who were initiated into those mysteries, but to the profane, or those who were not initiated into those mysteries, they would read something totally different. That's and right. Get their understanding. But the initial and the original overstanding of it was for the select initiates who were working to transform the lead, as they say, into gold. So, or to take your lower self, that beast man, and convert it into become a son of God. It was a coded way that he spoke to the disciples, where he would say, to those who have ears, they can hear. To those who have eyes, they can't see. But to you guys, I'm going to give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. So then to the masses of people, he spoke one way, and then to his select initiated few 12, he spoke a different language according to that particular interpretation of that scripture. So yes, he always spoke. He said he never spoke unless he spoke in parables. And that's the problem that a lot of people that take the Bible as literal, they miss, because they don't understand parables and dark sayings. My understanding or overstanding is that Jesus Christ is a gland inside of our heads called the thalamus.
That was the first broadcast, live broadcast that Dr. Griffo was on with us. And we have two other videos, as I mentioned, but what I wanted to do now is just take this opportunity to let you, the audience, or the SRC panel, just talk about what we learned from Dr. Griffo. Number one, Dr. Griffo could have been a doctor. He could have been a medical doctor because he knew he knew every part of a person's body, and he knew he could call every cell, everything. He just knew this stuff, and it just would roll off his lips like water flowing from a bottle. I learned so much from him. And that knowledge, it was just taken away, I believe, way too soon for me. But I know the knowledge will live on because he lives on. So I want to now just give Mark Thomas if you would like to comment on what Dr. Griffo just said in that video, or on the man himself, on the king himself, Dr. Griffo.
Yeah, I've known Dr. Griffo about a year, and I never met him in person, just on Zoom. I didn't know what was coming, but man, he was really so full of knowledge and so enthusiastic, and his generosity with his knowledge. I mean, I really just appreciated the man so much for what he contributed and what he taught me. I learned a tremendous amount from Dr. Griffo. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Would anyone else, even from our audience, we said at the end of the show, but if anyone else wants to comment on what you just heard Dr. Griffo say, please unmute yourself and speak briefly about our brother, Dr. Griffo. Okay. All right. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to show, Lavelle, did you have something?
Well, yes, I just like to say further that, so much of what Dr. Griffo had to offer, I find that, some of the things that I may not have fully understood when he initially shared it with us, I better understood it now. And it's as though his voice has been in my head for these last few weeks, speaking to me. And I realize, that's a spirit that's emanating from afar. So as we watch his videos, I feel that we can do great justice at understanding and comprehending and overstanding, as he would say, what he has shared with us. When a person comes into your presence that has remarkable qualities and abilities, as Dr. Griffo has, we have to understand that this is something that just didn't happen overnight. This is something that a person has made a sacrifice within themselves to dig, to delve, and to research and to find, so that this knowledge will be unfolded to the mind, the conscience, and the spirit of other people. So please, in doing him justice, I know Dr. Griffo is the type of man that just wasn't doing it for accolades. He was really doing it to serve others.
Oh, yes. That's so right, Brother Lavelle. And serving, he did. I mean, when he unpacked something, he went down deep. Now, a lot of times I would have to try to bring it back and put it where the, because some people weren't that deep, but I tell you something, he never shied away from the information that he wanted to give, and he went deep and he gave it. In fact, I never really thought about the Bible, how much symbolism was in the Bible, until I started listening to Dr. Griffo and realized that the entire Bible is full of symbolism. And then I realized that the people who wrote the Bible didn't want the masses to know what was in there. So it was hidden under symbolism. And Dr. Griffo was helping us to unpack those symbolisms. I know some stuff, but Dr. Griffo knew a lot about why the symbolisms and what the symbolisms actually meant. Brother Pastor Archie, would you like to comment on before I move on to the next video?
But
Yes, sir.
I tell you what, I tell you, I was telling Nala, I met Dr. Griffo back in 2016. We was at a Christmas party, and man, I tell you, the man, he held his ground, cause we tried to pull him up and push him up and try to make him get out there and dance. He said, I don't want that. But I didn't know at that time who I was really being introduced to. Dr. Griffo he's the first person that I've met since I've been researching, and I'm still researching. I do a lot of research, but it was almost like magic. Everything that I studied and had thought was going to be something astounding, and he would say, yeah, that's right, just like the pastor said that. And he already knew about the things that I was trying to communicate to everyone. And he was the kind of person that I found to be able to understand where I was going and what I was talking about the symbolism, because being a preacher for over 24 years, I've always think, I said, oh man, I don't know what I'm saying, because Dr. Griffo got a lot of scriptures. He had a lot. The man was like, I'm saying, wow, he remember all these scriptures. And a lot of the ones I used to remember, I have to look them up again. But he is a wonderful person. His character, from the time that I met him up to now. I was glad today that Anala said, oh yeah, we're gonna get Dr. Griffo to come back on a program and contribute. And I said, oh wow, that's good, because he has a lot of information. And I know I'm supposed to say something for 5 minutes coming up, but I just want to say that he lives on.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
He
Now,
lives on.
right, we're going to come back to you because we want you to be able to say those things that you want to say in that 5 minute span of the time. But before we move on, we want to go to Tamisha Burgess and have her say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Usually I'm sorry if I'm not having my camera on today. I'm just feels a little strange for me that we're having this conversation, of course. But Pastor Archie is spot on. He mentioned in 2016. We've known Griff for years outside of just SRC, and we were a family and established a bond over the years. And so really, before any of us knew that SRC would ever be given birth to, I think in 2016 or 2017, we were doing this over the phone. A lot of people don't know that, but this is at a time that I initially met Griff. And I said, you gotta share this stuff. Are you open? Are you open to talking to my family? And we would get on a three-way. My mom would call me, I would call my uncle would call somebody else. So this began some time ago. And he was always open to share, even when it was just, 2 or 3 people listening. And a lot of people don't know also that the doctor part, although he didn't earn a PhD, neither did Dr. Phil, but he was a doctor. He earned an honorary doctorate. So that doctor is absolutely earned as an honorary doctorate from Dr. Malachi York. Okay, Dr. Malachi York, if you don't know who that is, please take some time to do some research on that. Also a very powerful brother who Dr. Griffo had the opportunity to study under. Some time ago in the 90s, well, that's a long time ago, there was this place that they call the Egypt of the West. I believe the technical name was Tamaray, if I'm saying that correctly. And basically, Dr. Malachi York At the time, Griff was studying under him, and a group of other very powerful brothers and sisters had gotten together to build the Egypt of the West. So there were literal pyramids built right here in Georgia. Okay, temples, meditation temples. It literally looked like the second Egypt coming right here. And so a lot of people don't know that. And this was in the 90s, and some years ago, you know, it later on, you know, met its own demise. You know, there was a lot of hard work put into that, but I definitely would suggest anybody here to do your research on Tamaray, and the people that built, basically, you know, it was like combined. Think of Egypt and Black Wall Street combined. That was Tamaray. Okay.
Wow.
And and Griff was, not only did he study there, but was one of the responsible parties whose blood, sweat, and tears went into building the pyramids brick by brick. I'm going to tell just a funny story that one day he said, you know, at this time he was working at a Home Depot, right? Just a regular job, and was working at a Home Depot, and he would, in Home Depot, I mean, he would kind of sneak plywood and bricks through the back door.
Good for you, brother. Help the community.
To help build this place, right? That's how serious it was. That's how much of a mission it was. And that's how much of the calling it was, where he was willing, he was dedicated to the mission. So I just wanted to say those things.
So much for that, Tamisha. That is one thing about Brother Griffo, Dr. Griffo. He was definitely committed to whatever he chose, whatever he decided to do. He was committed to doing that. Okay, so right now I want to go back and I want to share this another video. There were many videos, but this is another one that I like to share with you guys, with him contributing to the broadcast. So just
We're just saying, if you don't take into account, you know, your internal self and start to meditate, then you will forever stay barren in producing that spiritual fruit. You have to go inside and always take care of the planting, the sowing. I mean, you know, the planting and you know, the keeping the grasses out, and you know what I mean, and keeping the maintenance on that. So then that will take you from a barren person to a very fruitful person. So just to add on, you have to meditate in order to keep that barren state at bay. Absolutely.
we know that Dr. Griffo, because of Dr. Griffo, I mean, I was already kind of like meditating a little bit, but Dr. Griffo really caused me to want to meditate more. He caused me to think about going into myself and really actually meditating on the higher self and being able to move from the lower chakras to the higher chakras. He taught me that. Although I'd heard about the chakras and all that, I had no idea of how important it was to unlock each of the levels. So with that being said, I'd like to open the mic up for anybody else who would like to share anything about what you just heard Dr. Griffo say.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead, Tom.
No, I mean, just a little takeoff on that is that Dr. Griffo, he so emphasized how integrated we are as people, and our physical self is so integrated with our spiritual self. A lot of times, I mean, I was one who would, I kind of had those in two different cups, you know, and he showed me that that your physical self actually relates, and the way that he used to talk about spinal fluids flowing up and down through your chakra. It really brought a lot of things together for me.
Absolutely. You know, I want to share with you guys, right after Dr. Griffo's transition, I walked out on the back patio, and on the back patio is where the sun rises. On my back patio, the sun rises, and the moon also. I first see it in on the east on that side, And as I walked out, it was the beginning of a full moon, and I yeah, I don't know if the moon was full yet, but it was getting there. And when I looked up at the moon, it seemed to, it seemed to illuminate like that. And I'm thinking, and then in that moment, at the same moment that happened, Dr. Griffo filled my mind. His essence, his spiritual part of him, filled my mind. So that's why I tell you something. I know we teach this on SRC, but for sure, I know that his physical body is no longer in this plane, but his spirit, he is still communicating. He is my ancestor, and I will continue to communicate with him because I know he is continuing to communicate with us. As a matter of fact, I believe he's more powerful now on the other side than he ever was on this side. So let's not, we can, well, for me, I'm not going to look at him as gone. I'm going to look at him as being more strong at the position that he's in right now. So with that, unless anyone else has anything else they want to say about the video clip we just showed, we're going to show the last video clip that where Dr. Griffo, the last show that he was on for us, and he called that because the next week we were due to have another, we were doing a live broadcast, and he sent me a text saying I won't be able to get on because I've been diagnosed with COVID. And we were all concerned about him and all this, and this is the last video that he appeared on the show. And then right after that, we're going to have Pastor Archie is going to give us a ceremonial speech regarding Dr. Griffo. But watch this because it's one of the funny ones. Dr. Griffo had a really good sense of humor, guys. I tell you something, he would make you laugh. You just want to laugh your heart out. So listen to this because this is this is funny. This is one of the things that he would do. And then he would be so serious when he did it. So this is gonna be great. So just hold on for a second.
So when we have that internal conflict, or what in Islam they call jihad, which is that struggle, but it's an internal struggle. But again, because people take these stories literally, they think that jihad means the fight against evil, where you're actually having a battle, a physical battle with other people, when it's really about your spiritual internal battle that we all go through. Like another way to sum it up is, they showed the two angels on you. You got one on the left and one on the right. If you talk to this one, you're listening to the evil side. If you talk to this one, you're talking to the godly side. So that's all it is just having that conversation with the higher self, or the higher self having a conversation with the lower self. So that's what it's talking about in that particular. And it comes in the form of being conflicted in what you should do, knowing what's right, but actually sometimes not always doing what's right. It comes in the form of riding by Krispy Kreme donuts, and you know that you got diabetes, and you've had your sugar for the day. So instead of you riding on by that, you allow that lower nature to wrestle with you, and that fleshly nature to say make that B line on in the Krispy Kreme and get you some more sugar, which is going to spike your sugar. It's that type of thing of knowing that we know what to do inherently, but we sometimes overrule those instincts by allowing and conceding to those thoughts that know that are not harmful to us. So, in the Islamic world, they call it jihad, which is struggle. Now they mistranslated it now to mean external struggle, where they're fighting against anybody who's not a Muslim, but it originally meant the internal struggle that we go through on a daily basis to choose to do the right things as opposed to doing the wrong things. Wow. And so that's what it is, that lack of discipline. If we had the discipline, our minds would overrule our bodies and be able to choose the righteousness over the so-called unrighteousness.
And we're going to go to Dr. Griffo, who is going to leave us with final thoughts and, let's give us a little bit of insight on 18 if he chooses to. Dr. Griffo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Both what everybody has contributed is I'm going to try to hit on everybody's points to a degree, but and that's why, and I think it's 18 where they talked about that they had to sacrifice a cow, a goat, and a ram. Those are all animals, so you must sacrifice your animal nature. That's one. When you look at the names again, Dothan, which means belonging to a fountain. So a fountain, as we know, is water which will quench the fire. Abiram, which means my father is exalted. Eleazar, which means God has helped. So you're looking at these names to understand that you're trying to ascend your higher nature from your lower nature. And this is why they had those people doing what? Once they had to cleanse the temple with what? Censers or incense burners, those things that are found in the Catholic Church that they throw that's got all of the censers. So as you were saying, they didn't want the people to burn incense because they understand that incense like frankincense and myrrh are what? They actually stimulate the hippocampus area of the brain, the amygdala portion of the brain. And again, amygdala is from where they get the word Magdalene. And what did Mary Magdalene do? She rubbed Jesus's feet with spikenard. Spikenard is a certain fragrance that has a desired effect upon the brain. So when they was talking about cleansing the temple with these incense, they understand the science behind how the brain and the body works with certain fragrances, which is to bring you to a higher thought process, a higher spiritual thing. This is, again, why the Catholic Church does this, because they want a more tranquil environment in the services, or in the case of in the house of the Lord. So being that this is our house of the Lord, we should also as well not only burn incense that's going to help bring more tranquility, but also have the thoughts that are going to bring more tranquility, so we won't have the fire. We won't have the misdirection and, doing these things that, again, y'all are killing me with the Krispy Kreme. And I'm sorry that I got to think about them donuts. But, they satisfy our temporary desires, but not our eternal desires. And so what we have to do is start looking at things that will satisfy our eternal desires, as opposed to the temporary fixes that we get from food, from having sexual relations, from being angry, and living out in our emotions. We should be trying to live out more so in a more tranquil environment where our spirituality steps in and leads us and shows us the way.
That was the last video that Dr. Griffo left us with, and he left us with a smile, and that was thinking about Krispy Kreme donuts. We talked about that long after the show, because of the Krispy Kreme donuts that he had everybody thinking about. But more so than that, you can see from the messages that Dr. Griffo brought to the stage that those were messages for life, messages that would serve to give us life, messages that allowed us to look behind the veil and see the truth of what our Creator wanted us to know, and that we're not sheep led by somebody else. We have a mind. We are part of that creation. We have the power. We have the power then and the ability to rule in a way where we are not just following someone, but we are leaders, and we're leaders because we have the power. We were created to be that. So with that being said, unless anyone else has anything they want to share on this particular video, I'm going to go to Pastor Archie. Anyone, Lavelle, anyone? Okay. All right. So with Miss, yes, Kena, would you like to, Miss Lyles?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having this. I'm one of the many people who were connected with Dr. Griffo, who he changed my life, impacted my life in a major way. I'm in a small town, upstate South Carolina. So I started to look beyond religion back in 2009. Being in the church, almost ordained twice, I always had these questions that nobody could answer. So I started searching on my own on YouTube and the internet, hearing these things from people. But Dr. Griffo was one of the first people that I met online who really was able to break this stuff down and give me some other interpretations and just kind of expand my mind and confirm some things that I always questioned my whole life. So, and he also connected me with Brother Lavelle Rouser. I was one of those people that he said, yeah, give him a call, hit him up. I was one of those people. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm just honored to just be connected with all of you now. And he even shared with me your show, Shifting Religious Consciousness. He said, hey, you need to check this out. So he even connected me to you guys, and just he was on my podcast. I was trying to start a podcast a couple of years ago, working through my glitches and technical difficulties and not knowing how to edit video and just so many frustrations. He was always encouraging me to just keep moving forward. You're doing a great job. And he helped me get a job once. I was out of work in between jobs. He told me about a job his daughter had working from home remotely. Just a great human being, very intelligent, just a gift. I could go on and on, but I won't go on and on. But just I want to touch on the video you just shared. He did share that teaching on my podcast as well, how sin is acting out of your emotion versus direct thought. So he shared that on my podcast as well. And I'm just grateful, just really grateful.
Well, Kena, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Kena?
Kena, yes.
Kena, I'm so happy that you are here today and that you shared a part of Dr. Griffo that we didn't know. I realized that from going to his celebration last Sunday, that there's so many people that Dr. Griffo had his hand in to help. Even from his childhood coming on up and his friends, how they talked about him. Sometimes you learn so much more about a person when they transcend, and you don't even know who they know until they transcend. But I learned a lot from him during his waking life here on this side. But I learned so much more about him when he transcended of how he touched the hearts and minds of so many people. And I am one grateful myself. So with that being said, Pastor Archie, I want to give you the floor to give your ceremonial speech regarding Dr. Kedar Griffo.
This is wonderful. So much has been said, I tell you the truth, but I would just like to leave some good encouragement for us all, because I tell you, that brother there, my God, he may be missed and battered, but as I always say to people, we can invoke him to be amongst us in everything that we do, but we got to call on him. Yeah, now if we got to call on him, because if we don't invoke him, then we're on our own. But we are learning. I'm learning quite a few things about this Bible and about how we live. Now, I just wanted to give a couple of scriptures, because Dr. Griffo always can find the scripture for a lot of things. And I'm telling you, no, I'm not just saying this. He could. So I'm gonna give you, first of all, 2 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter and the 14th verse, and the King James reads it as thus. It says that, now thanks be unto God, which always causes us to triumph in Christ and make it manifest the Savior of his knowledge by us in every place. And I'm gonna jump over to the next chapter, the 3rd chapter and the 6th verse, which is, who also had made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kill it, but the spirit give it life. That is why I said in the beginning, I didn't want to jump into what I was going to say, but I wanted to say that his spirit lives on. His spirit is still here, helping us, giving us wisdom, that same wisdom that he was given to us while he was living. It still is available, y'all. A lot of people don't understand that wisdom is still available. We still can invoke him to help us, to show us the way, show us ways, show us ways of communicating to the mass, so that they could come to understand how to step up to the higher consciousness. Because one of the things that I find out, that spirituality is unseen science, and science is seen spirituality. So spirituality was here before religion. So we continue on because it says that it was written, it says that the spirit gives us life. So bro, Griff, his body's not here, but he's not gone. He lives on. He lives on. And if I could, in the New Living Testament, I think I'm not a Life Testament, that version of the Bible, I want you to know this here. The 16th verse on down in the 3rd chapter of 2 Corinthians, it reads as thus in the New Living Testament. But whenever someone's turned to the Lord, the veil is taken away. For the Lord is the Spirit, and wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. So all of us who have had that veil removed can see and reflect the glory of the Lord. And the Lord, who is the Spirit, makes us more and more like him as we are changed into his glorious image. He has been glorified. I don't know if far y'all remember back in the Bible, you remember when Jesus didn't want the people to touch him? It was put in the Bible that don't touch me yet. He has been glorified. He has moved out of this prison, as we said a lot of times now. We're locked up in this flesh and can't move around, but he has the ability to move without any restrictions. He can go back and forth, and his eyes. I want to share something with you, because this is one of the things I found out. Spirit sees everything, but does not have eyes. Watch what it says. Spirit hears all sounds, but has no ears. Spirit can smell, but does not have a nose. Spirit tastes the air, water, land, and fire without a tongue. Spirit feels every emotion and thinks every thought, but does not have skin or brain. But however, we are his eyes, his nose, his mouth. We are here. We are here on this side. We can relay, as Anala was saying, what he is presenting to our hearts. Dr. Griffo is a message written on our heart, y'all, that will never go away. It'll always be there. You can always reach up and you can hear Dr. Griffo saying, yeah, that is right. Yeah, I agree. Or disagree. But he'll always be there, y'all. We don't have to be sad. I was going to say that, Lord, this is a sad day. But no, it's not a sad day. It is a wonderful day, because our brother is no longer in prison in this flesh. So to everyone that is listening, Brother Griffo lives on. He is amongst us. Always sit that way, call on him, and think of the good things that he have done. And that is all I have to say. He is still here with us today.
Pastor Archie, for that. And you are so right. I saw my sister Kenya said that he was always telling everybody to drink water. And you were absolutely right. I mean, I think I started drinking more water because of Dr. Griffo. Like, you drink water, this happens. You drink water, this. I was like, well, ooh, let me drink more water. And I see the comments that all of our audiences are saying about they miss them, they miss his wisdom, and everything. And thank you for Tamisha for responding in the text. I wrote a poem for Dr. Griffo, and it's one that is, it came so easily because I believe, like you said, Pastor Archie, that Dr. Griffo still lives, and I believe that the words that you're going to hear from this poem is what Dr. Griffo wanted me to say out of my mouth. As you say, Pastor Archie, we are his mouth now. The Spirit lives, but just like the Spirit of the Creator uses our hands and our feet and our mouth and our ears, we are here to do the work. People say they always wait on God, but God's waiting on you to stand up on your feet. God's waiting on for you to open your mouth, use your hands. And so I believe that the poem that I'm getting ready to share right now is one that came from the spirit of Dr. Griffo into my hands to write. And it's simply called Kedar and Cedar Tree. Your name is forever engraved in the hearts of many, and your tireless work to educate and awaken those asleep can only be numbered as plenty. Brother Kedar, you are likened unto the cedar tree. Your thoughts evergreen and just like needles of the cedar. Your words powerfully keen. You grew alongside wooded branches, providing mental nutrition to illuminate the teachings of false religion constructed through the art of superstition, which caused malnutrition of mind. And like the cone features of a true cedar, your consciousness grew large and upward, and your destiny one of a great leader. Now you operate from the spiritual realm of the infinite teacher, continuing to nurture the thoughts of those thirsting knowledge and understanding. And like the meaning of your name, Kedar, you remain forever black and strong, standing and expanding your reach from the highest throne, feeding the minds so they no longer rest in the state of being blind. This was written for Dr. Kedar.
Yes. Powerful.
Thank you. So with that being said, what we would like to do now, we really want to, we got some time left before we go to Mark Thomas, who's going to take us out. I really want to just if you want to say anything, please take off your mic and just share whatever it is that you want to say. This video will be available on our YouTube, so you can go back and look at it and remember this day whenever you're feeling sad or anything like that. But it will be available. But right now, I want to just open up to anyone who wants to say anything about our brother, Dr. Griffo, who we love and continue to love.
Yes, I just like to say, so much in the span of time that I've known Dr. Griffo, it just seems so much was done in a short period of time. And I find that to be very magnificent, because what he has done has affected so many. And so his value, his worth, especially to me over these last few years, have just been astounding. And that, I'm in great appreciation of and grateful.
Thank you so much for that, Brother Rosser. I do want to share that Dr. Griffo said when I was able to text him, because I was concerned, I wanted to find out how he was doing, and that when he was able to communicate, he sent me a text back and he said to me, and I think it was a group text, so all of you may have gotten it. And he said, you know, this thing is not a joke. This is, this is no joke. And I know that everybody has their own different opinions about COVID and all this stuff. But for Dr. Griffo, whom I respect dearly, tells me that this is not a joke, then I'm hoping that none of us take what this thing as a joke. And also, what one of the things that I know that Dr. Griffo probably would talk about is, think about this now that we know that that we see how this is affecting so many people. Think about what better way to cancel your vote. What better way to do something like that is to tell you that there is nothing wrong, there is nothing that you shouldn't take this vaccine, whatever, so that you don't get to count. I mean, you got to think about it. Look all the way back, and Dr. Griffo would say this. Look all the way back. There's always been some kind of system that was set up for us not to do the right thing, to put our thoughts over here, put our mind over here, put our eyes over here while they're doing something else over here. So think about that. I'm not telling anybody what they should do, but I'm just saying, think about how sometimes the system will tell you to look over here while they're doing something else over here. So just be conscious of that. Be conscious of, that don't believe a lie. And even the Bible tells us that in the last days, people will believe a lie. And so I don't know what that lie might be, but there's something going on here. So just think about that. Just think about that. So with that, unless anyone else has anything else they want to say, please be free and open to say it. And if not, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Thomas, who's going to leave us some parting words. Archie, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I just want to say that Dr. Griffo will want us to continue on just disseminating knowledge and researching and helping everyone that we can help to come to understand who we are and where we're supposed to be headed to and what we're supposed to be doing right now. So we love Dr. Griffo, and he, as I say, he will ever be in my heart. And I'm going to continue on. I'm going to get a little deeper now, as deep as I can. I can't be him. I can't replace him, but I'm going to be me, what I was put on this earth to do.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
And so with that, I'll pass it over to Brother Mark Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Nola. Thank you to everybody. This so inspirational to hear from everybody about who I consider a great man, Dr. Griffo. So I have a prepared thing. Archie is talking about, we're going to carry on, and we are going to carry on, but it might be a little bit different as we go forth from now on. And we know it will be, but it's going to be just as good. All of us here at SRC, with the transcendence of Dr. Griffo, have agreed that now is the right time to consider what lies ahead of us, that is, lies ahead of SRC. So since July of 2020, we have produced over 40 presentations of the SRC experience. We have used the Bible from Genesis to Revelations to bring to our audience a dynamic and powerful message about what the ancients have given us. Dr. Griffo, from his first episode in our Creation series, gave to all of us, just as the ancients did, a much deeper and richer understanding of what it means to be human and to search for our higher selves. With Dr. Griffo's transition, we at SRC feel it is also time for us to make a transition. We don't do this to honor or mark Griff's passage, because he wouldn't want that. Rather, we are taking this moment to salute him and all of our team for a job well done. We appreciate all our contributors and our faithful audience so much, but now it is time to move away from shifting religious concepts. So we're going to take the rest of the year off and return early in 2022 with a new branding. And we don't even know what this is going to look like. We don't know the form, but we are going to reappear in 2022. And as Anala often says, and is often said on the show, it's going to be so good. So please watch for our newsletter early next year. And until then, our greatest wish for all of you is always, is a wish of peace, health, wisdom, and love, of course.